What's up, guys? Today we're doing a video on Solemn Judgement. Now that it's at 1 in the TCG, it's a very important card to look at considering the impact it could have. Now, quick reminder, if you like the video, please like it, and if you want to see more competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Content like this, please subscribe. Now, Solemn Judgement. Pay 4,000 life points, negate just about anything in the game. At face value, obviously very strong. It is only a life point cost. You don't have to lose card advantage by discarding or destroying your own monsters, etc. And to anything your opponent does, you can just go, I don't think so. And there you go. So whether it is an evenly matched or an Electromite, you can negate it. I kind of wonder, though, is it really going to be that good? Keep in mind, you are paying 4,000 life points if you activate it going first, and you still have your full 8,000 life points. Trick Stars are going to burn you pretty easily. That first 4,000, 5,000 life points is pretty easy to get, actually. The real difficulty they have is getting the full 8,000, which is why they run cards like Scapegoat. So, putting yourself that close to 0, just to start off with, you better be pretty sure you're going to win with that negate. That better effectively end that Trickstar player's turn and let you set up a board that's going to allow you to win. Failing to do so means you will definitely lose. Same thing with Gemknight FTK. If that doesn't end their turn, if you don't stop them at a point that just stops everything, they could use just a shard of their combo to get in that 4,000 damage. Heck, they could just OTK you. Their fusions are huge. If you don't have monsters backing up that Judgment against Gemknights, they could just punch through with 2 fusions and call it a day. So the threat is definitely very real with that. So does that mean that it's a side deck card? Possibly. I think in some matchups you might want to side it in going first. It might also mean that you just don't bother siding it at all. Maybe they're just better cards you would rather play. I think a lot of decks would still rather just play Mind Crush in the side for evenly matched. I think Counter Fairies and Stun will definitely play Solemn Judgement. Maybe Paleozoics. Maybe Burning Abyss. Maybe. Those are some more control-y decks that I think would really like having Solemn Judgement. But is the threat of Trickstars just too great for Solemn Judgement to be worth it? And I think that's really what you have to be considering at all times with Solemn Judgement. Is what you're getting worth the life point cost? Now, as the game progresses, and this is a point in its favor, the further the game progresses and the fewer life points you have, the more worth it is, the smaller the cost is. And so at all points in the game, whenever you activate it, you have to be weighing, what am I losing versus what am I gaining? And really, this is, really more broadly, this is with every card, but especially Solemn Judgement being as dangerous as it can be, putting you in such low life point territory. This is also why Destrudo and A Hero Lives are not particularly good cards right now. It's definitely a high risk, high reward card. It punishes bad players and it rewards good players. And in that sense, I think it's actually a reasonably healthy card to have in the metagame. It might end up going back to 0 because it's too sacky. I'm nervous about having 3, really making the game a little more one-dimensional and too much like the OCG. But at least in a vacuum, in theory, it is a good card design, because if you use it poorly, you put yourself so far behind in the game. If you use it poorly, then not only did you not actually stop your opponent effectively, you made it even easier for them to end the game. So, honestly, I would say less experienced players, beware. This is a very dangerous card for you to be running. I think especially in an environment with burn cards, I would maybe just take a pass on it. Run Strike, run Bottomless Trap Hole, run Torrential if you're playing Burning Abyss or something like that. So yeah, I think a lot of it's actually going to be down to the individual player, and I think even good players will differ on opinion on whether you should play it or not. I think we might see a variety of decks either running it or not running it. I would normally be inclined to say that Judgment is a card that either everyone runs at 1 or no one runs. And I think we might actually have a situation that's not the case. We might actually have lots of decks either playing it or not playing it in the main or the side. I think it might really differ based on just individual player opinion a lot more than most cards like that do. Especially early on in this format. I think maybe towards the end of this format, once we get towards Flames of Destruction, I think the community will come to a decision on whether it is worth running or not. But especially kind of this first month, I think we're going to see it ran main side, not at all over the place, all different decks. So I definitely watch out for it. It's definitely a card that alters the format, whether people are playing it frequently or not. If it's being played at all and your opponent sets 1 back row, it kind of has to be in the back of your mind that that might be Solemn Judgment, and it is there to negate whatever you do. Any action you take could just be negated. So that's definitely a powerful thing, especially if your opponent actually sees you playing at game 1 and games 2 and 3 you set 1 back row. Especially if you desires or demise or something, so the chances of you having it are much higher. Well, if you're setting only 1 back row, you're probably not playing card or demise, but say you desires, you're setting 1 back row. That's, it's scary having to stare down a Solemn Judgment. A lot of players today have never played against Solemn Judgment, but you really just have to sit there and wonder, and I think that's a mind game that's going to be taken advantage of by, once again, good players. And I think good players and bad players will be able to do differing levels of appropriate risk assessment. A better way of saying that is better players will have better assessment of risk as to looking at a back row and determining what they should or shouldn't do, how far they should overextend. And that is yet another way that Solemn Judgment is a skillful card, and it promotes a healthy game. So at this point, I want to turn it over to you guys. What do you guys think about Solemn Judgment? What decks are going to be running it? Will it be ran at all? And like with previous videos, I will again mention, if you comment any card or deck that you want me to talk about, I will probably do it. And until then, until my next video, that is, I will see you guys later.